Okay, DJ Downtown, aka Zarmisha of Endgame Podcast, back with you again. So soon, so soon. I'm having a great time making these videos. The feedback has been phenomenal. I really want to thank you guys for letting me know you're trying some of the dishes and you're enjoying the videos. I'm doing them because I'm bored and I want to share this stuff with you guys. You're watching them because you're bored. Everyone's stuck at home, so we're going to try and make the best of it. And now we're going to try and make a little bit of dessert. I've made a couple of really kind of complex savory dishes for you, multiple parts, lots of stuff going on. So today we're going to dial it back, real simple, super simple, delicious dessert. Truly, truly my desert island snack. If I could only eat one sweet thing for the rest of my life, it would be this that we're going to make today. The recipe comes from my mom, so thanks, Mom. I know you're watching the videos, and I really appreciate your support. My mom taught me most of what I know about cooking. Everything else I picked up on the streets. So what we're going to make today is, what's the best way to describe it? Peanut butter butterscotch chocolate Rice Krispie cookies. No bake, one pan. You need a double boiler and a bowl, and that's it. Okay, this can't be any simpler. You need to make it and put it in the fridge to set. So I noticed today in our kitchen, we have a space problem because every time we go to the market now, we buy as much as we can, and I've got a lot of leftovers sitting there from all the things I've been making to show you guys. So the fridge is a little full. I had to do some rearranging. So before you get this going, make sure you have enough room in the fridge to put a glass baking sheet that you've lined with aluminum foil, and that's really it. Double boiler in this big pot. Okay, so we're gonna get cooking. We're gonna get to the double boiler, and really, it's going to take just a couple minutes. Okay, so here's the ingredients for the Rice Krispie Butterscotch Peanut Butter Chocolate Cookies. We have 6 cups of Rice Krispies. Couldn't be easier. Barely any measuring. 1 bag of Toll House Butterscotch chips. 1 bag of Toll House semi-sweet chocolate chips, and a cup of peanut butter. For this one, folks, I would definitely use the Skippy, unhealthy, full of sugar, super chunk, okay? Organic, healthy peanut butter is going to separate. It's not going to work as well in this. A little bit of extra sugar can't hurt because we're putting a ton of sugar in already. So the first thing that we do prep the double boiler. This is just a pot with some water in it and another pot put on. I have a real double boiler somewhere, couldn't find it this morning, so we're going to do it the old school way. If you don't have a double boiler, this is fine. The only thing you want to make sure is to keep the water to boil, but don't let it like get to an active boil. You don't want it bubbling up. You don't want water coming up over the sides and possibly like even a drop of water getting into the melting stuff, especially the melting chocolate. That will break the melting chocolate, and bad things will ensue. So just going to dump all the butterscotch chips, except for the 2 that just went on the floor and the one that escaped somewhere. So 1 bag Nestle Toll House butterscotch chips. We're going to fire it up. And it's going to take a bit to bring the water up to speed. And then we're going to just melt these things, add the peanut butter, stir it up, stick that into the Rice Krispies and push them out into the pan and set that to chill while we melt the chocolate. Folks, you know, we're already halfway through the recipe at this point. So just sit tight. We're going to let this come up to heat, and I'll be back when we're melting the butterscotch chips. All right, so this is melted up real nice. This is the 1 bag of butterscotch chips. And do make sure every last little butterscotch bump in there from the chip is squished out. You want this nice and smooth. Simmering heat, very low heat now. Taking the cup of the unhealthiest, most processed, super chunk peanut butter you can find. I mean, if you want creamy, get creamy. I think it's better with the super chunk. But I guarantee you the results will be better if you use the processed peanut butter for this. Make your sandwich with the organic and the good stuff. But for this, I mean, this is butterscotch chips and chocolate chips to start. All right, that's where we're beginning with this. So a little bad peanut butter won't hurt. So do get, peanut butter's tricky, get the whole thing out of there because you want the whole cup. All right, come on. Good. Then with the heat still going, because that will help kind of soften the peanut butter, you just want to integrate that into the butterscotch baking time and make sure that that's all evenly distributed and it's a nice peanut butter butterscotch goo. Okay, now that we've got, do it again. Okay, this is a nice kind of soupy mess. You certainly could just eat this out of the bowl right as it is now, and it would be awesome. But we're going to keep improving. We're going to kill the flame. This will stay liquidy for a bit. And then we're going to bring in the Rice Krispies. And yep, that handle's a little hot. You guessed it. We can get into some serious food porn here, folks. Ladle that all over. I need a third camera. A third camera is coming. And I hope you guys like our new little logo. Saw at the start of the show. And better microphone setup. So in future podcasts, we're just going to be improving the quality. I'll get it down. I've been so focused on the audio podcast for Endgame. Never really done video stuff before, so it's a big experiment. So you poured the goo, the peanut butter butterscotch goo, into the Rice Krispies. Now here's the thing you don't want to stir. You want to gently fold because you don't want to squish the Rice Krispies. You want to get the Rice Krispies covered, but you don't want to really aggressively stir it so as to destroy the Rice Krispies, and then you've got like a powder and it becomes a cement. So it's just real gentle folding, folding, folding. It will happen. Use a rubber spatula. This is not a flat rubber spatula, this is like a little rubber spoon spatula. Slide the tip of it on the bowl to be sure to be scooping all the extra. See, there's some unincorporated Rice Krispies, and somewhere down there, there's probably a reservoir or two of just goo that needs to get spread out. So keep just turning from the bottom up, folding it over. As you can see, as I promised, they're all getting covered, and we still have our Rice Krispie consistency. They're still there. You can see them. It hasn't crushed too many, and you're not hearing too many. What you hear is the swoosh of the spoon going against the bowl. All right. That's looking very, very good. Slide that out there now. We are almost done. There's that. A glass baking sheet lined with aluminum foil into which you extrude the Rice Krispie peanut butter butterscotch concoction, and just, you saw this coming, flatten it out Make it even. Push it into the corners. Keep the edges down. Push it out all the way to the sides. It is the perfect amount for this size bowl. And you are done with phase one. Phase one, peanut butter butterscotch, Rice Krispie, layered in a baking sheet lined, not a baking sheet, baking dish, glass baking dish, lined with aluminum foil. This goes into the fridge and sets. That's the first step. So we'll be back. All we do now is melt the chocolate, pour the chocolate over, stick it back into the fridge and let it set again. And it's time to cut the cake. All right, we're back. We've got the butterscotch peanut butter Rice Krispie thing in the baking dish, ready to go. It's cooled down a little bit. It's been maybe a half hour. All right, we want it cool enough so that we're going to pour the warm chocolate over it. There's the big reveal. We don't want it to melt and really get into it, so we want there to be some, not just room temperatureness, but some cold in the Rice Krispie stuff in there. So I've been kind of feeling it over the course of the last half hour. Also a great opportunity to rinse out your dishes because you don't want that peanut butter butterscotch thing hardening in the sink. I also need to reuse my double boiler because we're going to do the same thing we did with the butterscotch with the chocolate chip cookies. So if you got two pots you can use, great. Otherwise, I got my same double boiler here. Into which we're going to pour, again, the entire bag of chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate chips. Now, folks who know me, know I do like me some chocolate, and I do really like me some semi-sweet. The darker, the better, like 1%. 99%. Whoops, I dropped one in there, that will melt. So, the recipe, sorry mom, calls for 1 bag of chocolate chips. I'm going to put 1/3 of a cup more in, just to make it a little bit thicker. You don't want to double up the bag or anything like that, but just a little bit more chocolate on top. Now that, of course, screws you over for the bag you had to cut into for that 1/3 of a cup. So now that bag is 1/3 of a cup down. So if you want to make another batch, you need to have yet 1 more bag of chocolate chips. Keep that in mind because, folks, these things, the first time you make them, you're like me, they're going to go. They're going to go, and you're going to be back at the store with your mask on getting more chocolate chips. So when you go, plan ahead. Get 2 bags of butterscotch, 3 bags of chocolate chips, a big box of Rice Krispie cookies. Not Rice Krispie cookies, a big box of Rice Krispies, and you'll be able to make at least 2 batches. All right, that said, firing up the double boiler again, we're just going to let this melt. Probably should have been talking while all of that was heating up, but we'll be back when this thing melts down. And now you see it's down to a nice, silky, smooth chocolate goo. Let's see the little ribbons that are forming, but it's melted. Again, be real careful when you are doing the double boiler to make sure water doesn't boil up, a bubble come up, and some splash into the chocolate. It only takes a drop of water to screw up your melting chocolate. So be very careful. It's off now. I'm going to grab the Rice Krispie stuff out of the fridge, and we'll be right back. Pour it on, and that's it. So here are the Rice Krispies in the tray. Cool down, hopefully enough. That's the worst that could happen. And then, simply, here's the food porn. Rich chocolatey, dribbling out. I need a 3rd camera. I need 3rd and 4th cameras. Stay tuned. This is too much fun. I'm going to be here for quite a while, folks. So Lots of recipes again. Anything you want me to try and cook, just for laughs, I'm always game. Send it in. You can comment on the YouTube page, which I should check. And go to endgamepodcast.com. And an email from there, we'll get it. All right, with the chocolate like that, we're going to quickly try to get it off into all the corners and everywhere. Spreading it out. And the gaps. And to get all the coverage that we can. And you can tell when the warm chocolate's starting to dislodge that first layer of cooler Rice Krispie stuff. And you know what? Who gives a crap? It's going to be fine. Do not worry. There are some spots where there's more, so I'm just trying to do a quick evening and pushing out the chocolate to the edges. But in the end, it's all going to go in my stomach, so it'll be fine. All right, boys and girls. Nice. That's it. I'm going to pop this in the fridge. This time we got to let it sit. So this is the hardest part of the recipe, waiting till it's set. Maybe an hour, maybe more, depending on where you're at with your fridge and its temperature. You can always lick the spoon, which is going to be delicious. But try and get that on the last bits of it. So let me just slam this in the fridge quickly, and I will be right back. And we're done. That's it. It's in the fridge. Let it rest, cool an hour. You'll know when the chocolate hardens, you're going to be good to go. Cut it into squares, or just pop the whole thing out and eat it just in one sitting, which is probably what I'm going to do. All right, I've had a great time. I just wanted to throw this one up there. Nice, easy, probably stuff you may have around the house in quarantine. So it might actually be quarantine kitchen this time. So that's great. If you try it, as I say, let me know. Let me know what you think. I'll let my mom know. And thanks again for the recipe, Mom. Love you. As always, I just want to make the appeal if you're in any position to do so. It's great to be cooking lots of food, and we cook some kind of decadent meals here on Quarantine Kitchen for folks on lockdown. But there's a lot of people who are really, really struggling with food and getting food. And I've seen lines for food banks in my local area, and that's something I've never seen in my entire lifetime. All right. So the shit's hitting the fan, and people really need to pull together, and people need your help. So we're asking everyone to go to feedamerica.org and make a donation there. They'll get the money to the food banks. They'll be able to buy in bulk. It's definitely the best way to support the food bank operations. Another thing that we're asking you to take a look at and consider doing is mealtrain.com. That allows you to send a meal, a lunch, dinner, whatever, from a local restaurant to a group or a team or a shift of people at your local healthcare facility or some other frontline healthcare worker. It supports the local restaurant as well, because they're sending the meal and you're paying them, and this website, I guess, puts it all together. They have a page for our local hospital, and I'm sure they've got one for yours. If not, look into it and get that going, because it's a great idea. Send some love to the people on the front lines and support your local restaurants. And of course, since you're stuck with nothing to do but cook and watch video podcasts, go over to endgamepodcast.com. That's where we're all from. That's where this is coming from. And take a look at what we've got there. We do TV review podcasts, like we just finished Better Call Saul Season 5. Muy bien. And we're doing Westworld for good or bad. And we've also got a political podcast that talks about kind of what's going on these days. And it's a rant fest. So, prepare to be offended and tune into Endgame America as well. All right, as always, the brief ingredients list will come up at the end. Thank you guys very much, and we'll see you again real soon. Write in, let me know how it's going, and if this is working out.